Hello, I am YS and welcome back to Inktober. Today is day 2, but technically I'm recording this on day 4. Today's prompt is Mindless, and I think this is like the first prompt that I was actually super excited about because I had this idea of what I wanted to do, and I did the sketch of it before Inktober started, and I really liked it, so I was really excited to do this. It was basically a head looking away and a chrysanthemum was coming out of the head where the head brain part is. As you can probably hear, I'm still sick, and that's why today's Inktober is a little bit late. On day 2, I was actually out of the house all day, and then I ended up staying over at a friend's place and spent day 3 there as well. So I didn't start the day 2 and day 3 Inktobers until the end of day 3. So I did those two back to back, and now I'm recording the audio for them back to back. I'm also doing it at 7 in the morning because, schedules. They be what they be. Anyways, yeah, so today's Inktober is, again, Mindless. So for this drawing, I used the Tombow Brush Pen. I like this brush pen, but I think I'm ready to, try out some new brush pens that have more flowy nibs and maybe ones where the nibs are actually hairs. The thing is, those are a little bit more expensive than the Tombow ones, which are $2-3 tops. So it's definitely an investment. Maybe towards the end of Inktober, I'll actually grab one. After I did the lines, I went in with some ink wash, and I haven't done too much ink wash before. Every time I've used ink wash, I feel like the paper never takes it well. Even when I use thicker paper, it seems like the ink just wants to sit on top and not really soak in. I don't know if that's just what it does. I've never tried using ink wash on watercolor paper, but I find that because it kind of just sits on top, you can't really blend any parts together. It'll just make a shape, and then once it's down, it's down. There's no flexibility, no time until it dries. Once the pigment is on the paper, the pigment is on the paper. And I think that's really hard to get used to because I'm used to using watercolors, right? Where there's a lot of blendability, and also every time I put down a color, I'm mixing it right away, right? So you can see with my setup here, I've got little bottle caps and little pods with my ink washes in it, and I only use 2 different pigments, I guess, of ink wash, 2 tones, I guess. And I didn't have that much of a plan for what the whole thing was going to look like after the ink wash. I just kind of went on autopilot and shaded it how I would normally shade stuff, which I think was a mistake because the ink wash was so limiting. A lot of the ink washed parts ended up just looking the same. So I think something I could have done was just not put shading everywhere. I think shading under the cheekbone is necessary, right? But the way I did it here, it made it look like the cheekbone and the back of the head were the same color, which they shouldn't be. The local color should be different because under the cheekbone is just skin, even if it's sunken in, and the back of the head is supposed to be that kind of shaved head with a little bit of the 5 o'clock shadow. The inside of the chrysanthemum petals as well is also the same shade as everything else that the ink wash is, right? So I don't know, I don't love that. So because of that, I feel like it looks very boring almost. I don't know, it's just not very visually interesting. And the flower doesn't stand out as much as I would like it to. I think also if I had done this digitally, I would have just made the background black to make the whole thing pop a little more. But I think I guess I didn't want to risk that in this because I don't know, I feel like that's too risky of a move. I wouldn't know how the background would look before I did it, and once I did it, there's really no going back, and I didn't want any of the details of the chrysanthemum to get lost in it. But actually now thinking back, I feel like maybe that would have been the right move. But also I didn't want to waste ink and make a huge mess when I have almost 30 more days to go. I also found that because I'm using pretty thin sketchbook paper for this, 70-pound sketchbook paper, ink wash will often go through the paper and bleed over to the other side. When it dries, it becomes a little bit lighter, but I don't know, I feel like this is an issue. Maybe I'll try and not use ink wash or not rely on it as much. Or maybe the problem is I'm trying to use too light colors, and because of that, I have to do a lot more layering than if I use more pigmented ink washes. I should get one of those little paint palette things, the very basic dollar store ones, instead of trying to keep it in these little bottle caps. But even then, every other time I try to use ink washes, I've kind of struggled with not only like the water flow, but also like making blending seem more seamless. And I guess just knowing where I want the colors to go, right? Because I feel like with watercolors, even though there's technically no undo button, there's a lot of flexibility to change things after you put them down on the paper and even lift some areas that you don't like or make them lighter so you can paint over them. And with ink wash, there isn't really that flexibility. Also, I wanted to keep this whole Inktober purely like black, gray, white, and I didn't want to do any color. Like, I would like to do color. I think a little pop of color would have been cute, you know? But I set this rule for myself just because I thought I need to challenge myself to see what I can actually do with just black and white, because so many artists could do such amazing things, and if I keep relying on this pop of color as a crutch for visual interest so I can like be more lax on other aspects of my drawings, that's not good for me and that's not going to help me grow. And at the end of the day, that's what Inktober is all about, right? So that's that. Anyways, I'm not going to talk anymore. I'm super sick. It's super early. It's like 7 a.m. I'm trying to do this before I have to go to school. So that will be it for today's Inktober video. I hope you had fun. Thank you so much for watching. Click subscribe down below and follow me on Instagram to keep up with me throughout this month of struggling and probably being late like every single day. But if it gets done, then I'll be super proud of myself. Even if I don't get all the videos done, if I can do like 30 drawings in a month-ish, like that's gonna be pretty awesome. Alright, that's really it. Okay, bye.